Timing is everything. In the grand orchestra of life, God is the master conductor, ensuring every note is played at the perfect moment. It may not always align with our expectations, but His timing is never late, never early, always perfect. Today, let us explore why trusting His timing is essential for our growth, peace, and purpose. God operates with a perspective that transcends human understanding. He sees the entirety of your journey, from the beginning to the end, as one seamless masterpiece. While you may only see fragments, moments of joy, sorrow, struggle, or triumph, He sees how each piece fits perfectly into the grand design of your life. What feels confusing or disconnected to you is crystal clear to Him. He understands how today's challenges are shaping you for tomorrow's victories. Imagine standing at the base of a mountain. Your view is limited. You see only the immediate path before you, filled with obstacles, twists, and turns. But God is like the one who views the entire mountain from above, knowing exactly where the path leads, how steep it gets, and where it finally opens into a breathtaking view. You must trust that the journey, no matter how difficult, is leading somewhere significant. His perspective is infinite. He knows the connections between people, circumstances, and events long before they manifest. That setback you faced, which felt like a detour, was actually a redirection towards something greater. The person who exited your life, though painful, made room for someone essential to your destiny. The opportunity you missed was not a loss, but a shield protecting you from something you could not see. God does not operate within the constraints of time as we do. He is not rushed, nor is He confined by our sense of urgency. His timing aligns with His divine purpose, and His plans are never late. What He sees is far greater than what you can comprehend. Trusting Him requires surrendering your limited view for His infinite wisdom, knowing that He is orchestrating every detail for your ultimate good and His greater glory. This trust does not come easily. It requires faith. Faith that He knows what He's doing. Faith that the doors He closes are for your protection, and that the doors He opens are for your advancement. Faith that even when you can't see the path, He is guiding you with precision and care. His view is perfect, and His plan is flawless. In His hands, nothing is wasted, not your pain, not your waiting, and not your dreams. Everything is working together in ways you cannot yet fathom, but one day you will see how it all made sense. What feels like a delay in your life is often a moment of divine preparation. When you encounter seasons where progress seems slow or doors remain closed, it can be frustrating, even disheartening. Yet, these moments are not signs of abandonment, but rather opportunities for refinement. There is a reason behind every pause, every waiting period, and every seeming delay in your journey. These are times when the foundation for your next season is being laid. Think of a seed planted in the soil. To the human eye, it looks as if nothing is happening. Days, weeks, even months may pass with no visible growth. But beneath the surface, something profound is taking place. Roots are spreading deep into the soil, anchoring the plant and drawing nourishment. Without this hidden work, the seed would never have the strength to break through the surface and grow into its full potential. In the same way, what looks like stillness in your life is often God fortifying your foundation, ensuring that you are ready for what lies ahead. Delays often reveal what is in our hearts. They test our patience, refine our character, and build resilience. They teach us to trust, even when we cannot see the outcome. During these seasons, you may be tempted to rush ahead, to force things into motion, but doing so can lead to premature outcomes. A fruit plucked too early is bitter, not because it is bad, but because it is not yet ready. Timing is everything, and the waiting ensures that when the blessing comes, you will be able to handle it with wisdom and maturity. In this process, you must understand that your vision is limited. What you see as delay, God sees as alignment. While you are waiting, He is orchestrating events, preparing people, and aligning circumstances to ensure everything comes together perfectly. Sometimes the delay is not about you, it is about the people or situations connected to your purpose. They too must be prepared to fit into the grand design. Waiting is not inactivity, it is a time of growth. Use it to develop your skills, deepen your faith, and strengthen your relationships. A delay does not mean a denial, it means the promise is still in motion, being shaped into something far greater than you imagined. Trust that every moment of waiting is purposeful, and when the time is right, Everything will unfold in a way that exceeds your expectations. What feels like a delay today will become the testimony of perfect timing tomorrow. Life unfolds in seasons, each with its own unique purpose and lessons. Just as the natural world moves through cycles of planting, growing, harvesting, and resting, so too does your life progress through stages. Each season carries its own challenges and blessings, and none of them are accidental. They are orchestrated to build you, shape you, and prepare you for what lies ahead. It is tempting to desire one season over another, to wish for perpetual harvest without enduring the planting or growing seasons. But the truth is, every season has its work, and each is essential. The season of planting may seem slow and uneventful, but it is in this time that you sow the seeds of your future. This is the time of preparation, of laying down roots, and of building a foundation that can sustain the blessings to come. Without the planting, there can be no harvest. Then there are seasons of growth, which are often marked by challenges and stretching. Growth is never comfortable because it pushes you beyond your limits, forcing you to confront areas of weakness and develop strength. It's in these times that you learn resilience and perseverance. Just as a tree must endure wind and storms to grow strong and rooted, so too must you face trials to build character and fortitude. The harvest season is the reward for your faithfulness, the time when the seeds you planted and nurtured begin to yield fruit. This is a season of joy and fulfillment, but it is also one of responsibility. The harvest is not just for you, it is meant to bless others. What you reap is a reflection of what you've sown, and it is during this season that you must steward your blessings wisely, ensuring they multiply and have lasting impact. Finally, there are seasons of rest, moments when it seems as though everything has slowed down or even come to a halt. These times are not wasted, they are vital for renewal and reflection. Just as the land must lie fallow to regain its strength, so too must you embrace rest to be restored and refocused. In these quiet moments, you gain clarity, reconnect with your purpose, and prepare for the next phase of your journey. Every season serves a purpose, even the ones you don't understand or wish to avoid. The key is to recognize where you are and embrace the lessons it offers. Trying to rush out of one season into another can lead to missed opportunities for growth and preparation. Trust that there is a divine rhythm to your life, one that is perfectly timed. Each season is part of a greater design, and when embraced fully, it moves you closer to your ultimate purpose. Waiting is one of life's most powerful tools for building character, even though it often feels like one of the hardest experiences to endure. It is in the waiting that the true essence of who you are is revealed and refined. The waiting season is not a punishment, but a preparation. A time when the inner workings of your soul are being strengthened and sharpened for the demands of your destiny. Growth doesn't occur in the rush, it happens in the stillness. In the moments when you must trust the process and remain faithful, even when the results are not yet visible. During these times, patience is cultivated, not as mere tolerance for delay, but as an active demonstration of faith. Patience teaches you to trust not just in the outcome, but in the one who holds your future. It molds your perspective, helping you to see that the journey itself is as important as the destination. Each moment of waiting teaches endurance, resilience, and the ability to remain steadfast when circumstances challenge your resolve. Resilience is born when you persevere through the discomfort of waiting. It is the ability to stay strong under pressure, to keep moving forward even when progress seems invisible. The waiting season forces you to confront your doubts, fears, and insecurities. It strips away superficial dependencies and reveals the strength that comes from trusting in a higher purpose. It is here, in the waiting, that you develop the fortitude to handle what lies ahead. Waiting also builds trust in the process and trust in divine timing. This trust requires surrender, a willingness to let go of your timeline and your plans to embrace something greater. It's in these moments of surrender that you learn the depth of your faith. You begin to see that waiting is not wasted time, it is sacred time. It is the time when you are being prepared, pruned, and positioned for something greater than you can imagine. Moreover, waiting refines your character. It exposes your priorities, clarifies your motives, and reveals the areas where growth is needed. It tests your ability to remain disciplined, focused, and hopeful, even when there is no immediate reward. These tests are not meant to break you, but to build you into someone who can sustain the weight of the blessings and responsibilities that are coming. This process also humbles you. It reminds you that you are not in control, but that you are part of a greater plan. Waiting teaches you to lean not on your own understanding but to trust in the wisdom and timing of the one who is orchestrating your steps. Humility allows you to find peace in the process, knowing that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Finally, waiting increases your capacity. The time spent in preparation enlarges your ability to receive, manage, and steward what is coming. Without this period of growth, you may not be equipped to handle the very things you are praying for. The waiting season is not a time to be idle, it is a time to be active in your preparation, growing in wisdom, discipline, and faith so that when the breakthrough comes, you are ready to step into it fully. Waiting is not just about the passage of time, it is about what happens in you during that time. It is a divine tool that transforms, strengthens, and prepares you for the greater things ahead. Embrace the waiting, for it is here that you are being shaped into the person you were created to be. Rushing ahead can often seem like the quickest path to success or resolution, but it is one of the most dangerous mistakes you can make. When you move ahead of the right timing, you step into places you are not yet prepared for, and what seemed like an opportunity can quickly become a burden. There is a rhythm and order to every aspect of life, and when you act prematurely, you disrupt the process that is designed to bring you into your purpose with stability and strength. Patience can create unnecessary detours. When you rush to force an outcome, you may end up in situations that seem promising at first, but eventually reveal themselves to be filled with regret. It's like planting seeds in soil that has not been properly prepared. What grows may sprout quickly but lacks the depth to endure. The foundation isn't strong enough because the time for preparation was ignored. In your haste, you may find yourself misaligned with the people or circumstances necessary for your success. Timing is everything, and sometimes the delay is not just about you but about aligning all the external factors that are essential to your journey. The right connections, opportunities, and resources come together at the right time. When you rush ahead, you often leave these blessings behind, trying to carry a load you were never meant to bear alone. Moving prematurely also exposes you to vulnerabilities you are not equipped to handle. There is a reason why preparation is necessary. It builds the strength, wisdom, and endurance required to thrive in the next stage. Without this preparation, you risk being overwhelmed by challenges that could have been manageable if only you had waited for the right time. Furthermore, rushing ahead can cause you to miss valuable lessons. Every stage of life has something to teach you, lessons in patience, humility, resilience, and faith. These lessons are not incidental, they are the very tools you will need for the future. When you skip over these seasons of growth, you enter the next stage unprepared, and the very thing you rush toward can become the source of your greatest struggles. Waiting may feel like inactivity, but it is actually a time of divine coordination. It is when things unseen are being aligned in your favor. It is when doors are being prepared to open at the right moment, and when you are being equipped to step through them. Trusting the process means recognizing that every delay has a purpose, and that forcing progress will only lead to frustration. Rushing ahead also reveals a lack of trust in the timing that governs all things. It's a declaration that you believe your plan is better than the one already in motion. But faith requires surrender, and surrender means releasing your timeline to embrace the greater timing that has already been set for you. This trust is not weakness, it is the strength to know that what is for you will never pass you by, but it will come when you are truly ready to receive it. True success is not just about arriving, it's about being ready when you get there. Waiting ensures that when the door opens, you will walk through it with confidence, fully prepared for the opportunities and challenges on the other side. Rushing ahead may seem like progress, but it often leads to setbacks that could have been avoided. The cost of impatience is far greater than the discipline of waiting. Learn to embrace the waiting and resist the urge to move prematurely. Trust that every delay is a divine pause, a moment to prepare, align, and strengthen you for the season to come. When the time is right, you will step into your purpose not with hesitation but with clarity, strength, and joy, knowing that you are exactly where you are meant to be. When God makes a promise, He is not merely giving you words to hold on to, He is making a commitment to bring into your life exactly what He has spoken. And His promises are always tied to His perfect timing. These promises are not fleeting hopes or empty assurances, they are divine declarations that carry the weight of His sovereignty and power. They are the foundation upon which your life is built, and as sure as the sun rises, God's word will never return void. What He has spoken over your life will come to pass, but it will happen at the appointed time. Understanding that God's timing is inextricably linked to His promises is critical to living a life of faith. You see, the promises he makes are not subject to your understanding of time. They are not bound by the limitations you experience in your human existence. While you may be eagerly anticipating the fulfillment of a promise, God is preparing you for it in ways you cannot yet see. His timing does not only involve when it will happen, but how it will happen and in what way it will bring glory to his name. God's promises are perfect, and they are tailor-made for you. They are designed not just to fulfill your desires, but to align with his greater purpose for your life. This is why the timing matters so much. If God were to bring a promise into your life before you were ready, it might not bear the fruit that was intended. You may not be prepared to receive it, to steward it, or to walk in the fullness of what that promise entails. The promise may be exactly what you need, but if you are not equipped to handle it, it can become a burden rather than a blessing. The delay is not a denial, but a strategic preparation. When God promises, he sees the complete picture. He knows what you need in order to thrive in the promises he has made. The process of waiting becomes part of that preparation. It is during this waiting that God is working on your character, your capacity, and your ability to handle the responsibility that comes with the promise. The strength, wisdom, and humility needed to walk in that promise are cultivated in the waiting periods. It is also important to understand that God's promises are relational. They are not just gifts or rewards, they are an invitation to know him more deeply. As he prepares to fulfill his promises, he is drawing you closer, revealing himself in new ways, teaching you trust and dependence on him. The waiting period, then, is not only for your external preparation, but also for your internal transformation. God is preparing not just the world around you, but your heart to receive the fullness of his promise and his promise in a way that honors him and brings you greater peace and fulfillment. Sometimes the waiting may feel unbearable. You may question whether the promise will ever come to pass or whether you heard God correctly. But remember this: God is never late. He is always on time. His timing is not based on your sense of urgency or what the world dictates. It is based on his eternal wisdom and the knowledge that when his promise manifests, it will do so in a way that is beyond anything you could have imagined. There is no rush, for his plans for you are far greater than your plans for yourself. The key is to remain anchored in faith, knowing that God's promises are as sure as the foundation beneath your feet. You may not see the manifestation now, but that does not mean it is not coming. Hold on to the promise. Trust that God is working, even when you cannot see the evidence. And when the time comes, you will look back and realize that everything that has happened in your life was part of the preparation for the fulfillment of that promise. God's promises are tied to his timing, and when they come, they will come with the fullness of his glory, perfectly aligned with the plan he has for you. You will know without a doubt that the wait was worth it, because his promises are not only good, they are exactly what you need at the perfect moment. God's timing is always aligned with his ultimate purpose for your life. When you trust in his perfect timing, you begin to see that it is not just about the moment you are waiting for, but about the entire journey that leads to that moment. Each stage, each season, each delay, and each breakthrough is part of the greater design that God has for you. And as you walk in alignment with his will, you come to realize that the moments of waiting, sometimes even the most difficult ones, are not just random interruptions, they are divine appointments. Everything that happens in your life is designed to serve a greater purpose. You may not see it at the time, but every experience, every challenge, and even every setback is working together for your good. This understanding frees you from the anxiety and frustration that often accompany waiting, because you come to recognize that what is happening is not just for your present moment, but for your future. When you embrace God's timing, you acknowledge that he is in control of every detail of your life, orchestrating events in a way that will ultimately lead to your fulfillment and purpose. The beauty of God's timing is that it is not bound by your understanding of what's best. You see, as humans, we often measure time by our own desires and expectations, but God measures time by the fulfillment of his divine plan. When he says now, it is always at the right time. And when he says wait, it is because there is something more important at play that you cannot yet see. This is where trust becomes essential. To trust in God's timing is to believe that he is working behind the scenes, arranging circumstances, aligning people, and setting everything into motion for the right moment. This divine timing also teaches you to grow in patience, for patience is not just about waiting, it is about trusting in the process. Every time you are tempted to rush or to force things, God is allowing you to refine your faith. Each moment of waiting is an opportunity to exercise trust in the bigger picture He is unfolding. It is a test of your belief that He knows what is best, that He is never too early, never too late, and that when the time comes, He will reveal everything to you in the fullness of its purpose. Moreover, as you grow in understanding of God's timing, you begin to realize that the waiting is also a time for preparation. Every season, whether it is one of plenty or one of lack, is preparing you for what is to come. God does not waste any experience, and so even in the most difficult waiting periods, He is teaching you lessons that will prepare you for the next phase of your life. You learn skills, build character, and deepen your relationship with Him. You discover strengths you never knew you had, and you build a deeper sense of resilience that will sustain you when the moment of fulfillment arrives. In this process, you also learn to let go of your own timelines. The more you align yourself with God's timing, the more you understand that His plans are far better than your own. This shift in perspective helps you release the frustration of waiting and embrace the peace that comes from knowing that God is sovereign and has everything under control. The pressure to make things happen on your own begins to dissipate as you grow more confident in the fact that He is working everything together for your good. Finally, when you step into the appointed time that God has for you, you realize that everything has fallen into place in a way that you could never have imagined. What once seemed like delays, missed opportunities, or setbacks are seen as the exact moments that position you perfectly for the next step in your life. God's timing ensures that when the doors open, you are not only ready to walk through them, but to walk through them with a sense of peace and purpose that comes from knowing the wait was worth it. In every season of waiting, remember that God's timing is working on your behalf. It is not a sign that He is absent, but rather that He is doing something greater than you can currently understand. Trust the process, trust His perfect timing, and know that every moment you are waiting is preparing you for the greatness that lies ahead. When you truly understand that God's timing is perfect, you begin to realize that there are divine purposes woven into every waiting season. These periods of waiting are not mere pauses or delays, they are active moments of preparation, pruning and alignment. In the waiting, God is shaping you, molding you, and positioning you for something greater than you can imagine. The waiting is not time wasted, but time invested in building your character, your faith, and your capacity to receive what is coming. One of the most profound realizations is that, in these waiting seasons, God is preparing your heart to handle what is ahead. The external blessings, the breakthroughs, the opportunities, none of them will matter if your heart is not prepared to receive them. God knows that when you are entrusted with great things, you must have a heart that is humble, grounded, and able to steward the gifts He will give you. It is in the waiting that He teaches you humility, patience, and gratitude, so that when the time of fulfillment comes, you will be able to carry the blessings with grace and wisdom. Moreover, God uses the waiting time to develop your spiritual maturity. This is where your faith is stretched, where you are given the chance to truly believe that His promises are sure, even when you cannot see the evidence of them. It is easy to have faith when everything is going as planned, but it is in the waiting, in the unseen, that your faith is refined and solidified. You learn to trust not just in what God can do for you, but in who He is, the Creator, the Sustainer, the one who sees beyond your present circumstances. It is in the waiting that you deepen your relationship with God, learning to hear His voice more clearly, to recognize His presence in your life, and to rely on His strength rather than your own. God also uses waiting to grow your ability to endure and persevere. Life has a way of presenting challenges and obstacles that seem insurmountable, but through the waiting, you are being prepared to overcome them. You are being equipped with the strength and resilience needed to press forward, even when the road is tough. Waiting teaches you how to endure hardship, how to remain steadfast in the face of adversity, and how to keep moving forward with hope when the outcome is unclear. This endurance is not only for the present moment, but is a key part of your growth. For the ability to endure under pressure is what will sustain you in the next season of your life. Additionally, waiting sharpens your discernment. As you wait, you learn to listen more carefully, to distinguish between your own desires and God's desires for your life. You begin to understand that the timing of events and decisions is as important as the actions themselves. There are moments in life when rushing ahead can lead to missteps. But by waiting and seeking God's guidance, you gain clarity and wisdom. You start to see opportunities that align with His will, and you become more attuned to the doors He is opening and the ones He is closing. This heightened discernment helps you navigate life's complexities with greater wisdom and confidence. In this waiting period, you are also learning how to be content and at peace regardless of the circumstances. Waiting forces you to let go of the anxiety and restlessness that often come with unfulfilled desires. It teaches you that peace does not come from external circumstances, but from an internal surrender to God's perfect will. When you are able to find contentment in the waiting, you begin to experience a deeper peace that transcends understanding. You realize that God's presence is enough, and His plan is better than anything you could rush toward on your own. Waiting is also a time of strengthening your resolve and conviction. It is easy to become distracted by the noise of the world, by the pressure to follow trends or pursue temporary success. But when you wait on God's timing, you are solidifying your sense of purpose and direction. You learn to wait with a vision of the future, knowing that the steps you are taking today are preparing you for a greater purpose. This strengthens your commitment to your goals, to your calling, and to the path that God has set before you. Finally, the waiting season is a time of deepening your understanding of grace. It is during the waiting that you come to realize that everything you receive is not because of your own striving, but because of God's unmerited favor. You learn to rest in the fact that God's timing and His plan are always perfect, and you don't have to fight, manipulate, or control situations to make things happen. Instead, you learn to surrender, to trust, and to receive with gratitude. It is in the waiting that you grow in the understanding that God is for you, and that He is working all things together for your good even when you cannot yet see the outcome. In every season of waiting, remember that it is a time of preparation. It is not a time to sit idle or become frustrated, but a time to actively engage in your growth. God is working in you, through you, and for you, aligning everything in perfect time to bring His promises into fulfillment. When you trust in this divine process, you can wait with peace, knowing that what is meant for you will never be late, and it will come with greater purpose and significance than you could have ever imagined. Understanding that your current season of waiting is preparing you for the next phase of your life is crucial. The lessons you learn during these times are not random or unnecessary. They are shaping you for the greater opportunities ahead. Every moment of waiting holds purpose. And when you align yourself with God's timing, you begin to see that the delay is not an obstacle but a stepping stone to your destiny. God does not waste time or experience. Everything in your life, no matter how challenging it may seem, is being used to build something greater in you, something that is vital for the fulfillment of your calling. During these times of waiting, you may often feel like you're standing still while everyone around you seems to be moving ahead. You may struggle with feelings of inadequacy or frustration, wondering why things aren't progressing as quickly as you'd like. But it is in these moments that God is working the most profound changes in your life. The inner work that is happening within you is more important than the outward progress. You may not see the fruit immediately, but when the time comes for the next phase of your life to unfold, you will realize that everything you have been through has been necessary to get you ready for what is ahead. The preparation that happens during a season of waiting involves the building of your character. This is the time when God is refining your heart, teaching you patience, humility, and endurance. Character is not built in the easy times, but in the moments when things don't go as planned, when things don't move as quickly as you'd hoped, and when you are forced to rely on God's strength and wisdom. Your character is being shaped by the trials you endure, and you are being prepared to handle the responsibilities that come with the blessings God will eventually bring into your life. Without this preparation, when the doors of opportunity finally open, you may not be ready to handle the weight of the blessings or the demands of the purpose you have been called to fulfill. Additionally, God uses the waiting to deepen your trust in Him. It is in these times that your faith is tested. You are forced to rely on His promises and to trust that He will come through for you, even when the timing does not make sense. Waiting teaches you to lean into Him, to seek His guidance, and to trust His plans even when they contradict your own desires. Trusting in God's timing is not about passively waiting for things to happen, but about actively aligning yourself with His will, understanding that He knows what is best for you, and His timing will always be perfect. You begin to realize that waiting is an active process, one that involves prayer, seeking and listening for His voice in the midst of uncertainty. Furthermore, waiting gives you the space to grow in wisdom. When you rush ahead of God's timing, you may miss the lessons that are hidden in your current season. Wisdom is not something you can acquire overnight. It comes from experience, reflection, and the ability to see things from God's perspective. When you wait, you learn to see beyond the immediate moment and to understand that there is a larger picture at play. You begin to discern what is truly important, what is worth pursuing, and what is simply a distraction. Your vision becomes clearer, and you are able to make decisions that are aligned with God's will for your life, rather than being driven by impatience or fear. In the waiting, you also learn to value the process over the destination. Many times, people focus so much on what is to come that they miss the richness of the present moment. But when you learn to embrace God's timing, you come to understand that the process is just as valuable as the outcome. The lessons you learn, the relationships you build, and the inner transformation that takes place during the waiting period are essential to your growth. Without the journey, the destination would lose its meaning. The process shapes you into the person you need to be in order to appreciate and steward the blessings that will come at the appointed time. Moreover, during the waiting, God is also teaching you how to handle the waiting itself. Patience is not just about enduring, it is about maintaining your peace, joy, and faith while you wait. You learn that waiting does not mean inactivity or stagnation. Instead, it is a time to grow, to prepare, to serve, and to be present where you are. The time spent waiting can be one of the most fruitful periods of your life if you choose to engage with it fully. You begin to see the waiting not as a burden, but as a gift, a time where you can develop your skills, expand your capacity, and deepen your relationship with God. Additionally, God uses the waiting period to teach you to let go of control. So often we try to force outcomes, manipulate circumstances, or rush processes because we want things to happen on our timeline. But when you submit to God's perfect timing, you learn to release the need for control and trust in His sovereignty. You come to understand that you are not the one who orchestrates your life, God is. You may not understand why things are happening the way they are, but you trust that He is in control and that His timing is always aligned with His greater purpose for your life. Finally, as you wait and trust in God's perfect timing, you begin to experience peace. There is a peace that comes when you stop striving and trying to make things happen on your own. When you realize that your life is in God's hands and that He is working everything together for your good, you can rest in that assurance. The anxiety that once plagued you about your future and your timing fades away, and you begin to experience the peace that only comes from knowing that you are in the center of God's will. In every season of waiting, you are being prepared for what is to come. It is not a time to despair or to rush, but a time to embrace the process, knowing that every moment is shaping you for the future. When the appointed time arrives, you will look back and realize that the waiting was not only necessary, but it was the key to unlocking the fullness of what God had in store for you. When you come to a place of understanding that everything is working according to God's perfect timing, you begin to experience a shift in how you view life and its challenges. In those moments of waiting and uncertainty, you begin to see that God's timing isn't just a mechanism that governs the sequence of events in your life. It is a powerful, active force that aligns every circumstance, every relationship, and every step you take to fulfill His ultimate plan for you. There is a deep peace that comes from realizing that you are never out of His reach, that every step you take is not just a random movement, but a deliberate part of a larger story that is unfolding. One of the greatest realizations in this process is understanding that God's timing works to perfect you for your purpose. His delay is not His denial. You may feel that the doors aren't opening, that opportunities are passing you by, or that everyone else is moving ahead while you stand still, but in truth, God is positioning you. He is preparing you for something greater than what you see before you. The waiting period is not a sign that you are being left behind or forgotten. Rather, it is a time when God is refining your character, strengthening your inner resolve, and fortifying you for the challenges that lie ahead. This time of preparation is not only for your personal growth, but for the mission you are called to fulfill. Every moment of waiting, every lesson learned, and every bit of perseverance developed is equipping you for your assignment. Your purpose is far too significant for you to rush through the process. Every delay is working to build the foundation for what God has ordained for you. In this season, God is teaching you things that are essential for your future, things that will be invaluable when the fullness of your purpose is revealed. The skills, wisdom, and maturity you develop now will be the very tools you use to thrive in the next season. But this process also demands that you learn to trust fully in God's timing. Trust is not simply a matter of believing in God's existence, but of knowing, deep in your spirit, that He is in control of every moment, in every detail of your life. Trust is about surrendering to his sovereignty, acknowledging that he knows what is best for you, even when it doesn't make sense in the natural. It is recognizing that his timing is not governed by human standards, but by divine purpose. And sometimes his perfect timing will not align with your timeline. This requires you to abandon your limited understanding of what is best and allow him to lead you on the journey, step by step. God's timing is also about shaping your perspective on success and fulfillment. In the world, we are conditioned to view success through a lens of speed, achievement, and immediate gratification. But God doesn't operate according to the world's standards. His timeline is not driven by the need for validation or approval from others. He is not concerned with how quickly you reach your destination, but with how deeply you understand your purpose, how faithfully you walk in his will, and how fully you trust him with your journey. When you allow him to orchestrate the timing of your life, you begin to see that success is not merely about reaching the destination, it is about becoming the person you need to be in order to handle the destination with grace and wisdom. In this process of learning to trust his timing, you also come to understand that patience is not just about waiting, but about active preparation. Patience is not a passive waiting game. It is an active trust in God's process. It is about positioning yourself to receive what he has for you at the right time. This is where the real work of preparation happens. It's in those moments of waiting that you are called to deepen your relationship with God, to continue developing your gifts, to invest in your personal growth, and to remain faithful to the things he has already spoken over your life. It is in the waiting that you learn to develop the character, integrity, and discipline that will sustain you in the future. God's timing also teaches you to embrace and find purpose in the detours and delays that come along the way. There are moments when you feel that you are off course, when it seems like the path ahead is unclear, or when you experience setbacks that make you question whether you're moving in the right direction. But these detours are not setbacks. They are divine redirections. Often these are the moments when you are being protected from something that could harm you, or when you are being refined to handle something more significant. Every moment of seeming delay is a moment of divine preparation for the next step in your journey. Furthermore, God's perfect timing will always align with the season you are in. Just as the seasons of nature change, so do the seasons in your life. There are times of sowing, times of growth, and times of harvest. Each season comes with its own lessons, challenges, and rewards. But if you rush through one season, you miss out on the fullness of what it has to offer. You must learn to embrace the season you are in, trusting that God has a specific purpose for it. When you do this, you are positioning yourself for the next season, the season of fulfillment and breakthrough, because you have fully received all that the previous seasons have prepared you for. As you walk in God's timing, you also learn to operate with divine confidence, not in your own ability to make things happen, but in his power to bring about what he has promised. This confidence is not arrogance, but a humble assurance that what is for you cannot be delayed, and what is for you will not be taken from you. When you are in the center of God's will, trusting in his perfect timing, you can face any obstacle with peace, knowing that nothing can stand in the way of the destiny he has set for you. Your confidence is rooted in the understanding that he who began a good work in you will bring it to completion, and that every moment of waiting is a moment closer to the fulfillment of his promises in your life. The power of God's timing is transformative. It changes how you see yourself, how you approach challenges, and how you relate to the world around you. When you trust in God's timing, you walk with a sense of assurance, peace, and purpose that surpasses all understanding. You cease striving to control your circumstances, and instead you begin to embrace the process, knowing that every season of waiting is preparing you for something far greater than you could ever imagine. And when the time comes for that moment of fulfillment, you will see that it is not just that God's timing is not just about moments, it's about trust, growth, and alignment. When we learn to trust him fully, we experience peace and purpose beyond measure. Remember, he makes all things beautiful in his time. Wait on him, for his timing is perfect. Destination that matters, but the person you have become along the way.